All right. Well, we're coming up on the 5 minute mark, so I'll just go ahead and give you the lesson as I had planned to deliver it, and highlight a couple of things that you guys should know, and then it'll be up hopefully on the YouTube page so you can review it afterwards. But remember, this is specifically for the assignment for this week, the week of the 14th, which is today. We're Tuesday, April 14th. We just got off from an inclement weather day yesterday on Monday. There was no school, but we're getting back on track today on Tuesday. So here goes a couple of things, just as a reminder. For those of you who still didn't know, the AP test for you guys, you AP kiddos, is still going to happen. I know that they've canceled quite a few other tests that you would have had to take this year, but the AP test is still on, and that's really all AP testing. So specifically for the AP language and composition class, your test has been, and I'm actually reading the information off of the College Board website right now, your test has been reduced to just one question. It's going to be a 45-minute long test. You have one question, and the question type is a free response rhetorical analysis question. In other words, all you have to do for the AP test this year is write a rhetorical analysis essay. So I'm hoping for most of you, that's like a huge burden lifted off your shoulders, because that's the essay that we actually spent the most time on this year. And I really strongly believe you all have a chance to make a really good grade on it. Let me just kind of read you some extra things here. The question presents students with a passage of nonfiction prose, like an essay or a letter or a speech, like the ones that we've been reading, approximately 600 to 800 words long. Students are asked to write an essay that analyzes the writer's rhetorical choices. The question assesses students' ability to do the following: respond to the prompt with a thesis that analyzes the writer's rhetorical choices. Remember, the thesis statement is a guaranteed way to make sure you at least get 1 point on your essay. You have to select and use evidence to support a line of reasoning. Explain how the evidence supports that line of reasoning. Demonstrate and understand the rhetorical situation. Use appropriate grammar and punctuation in communicating an argument. So I'm going to actually include this link on an announcement in the classroom so that you guys have access to it and you can just kind of refer back to it at your leisure, in case you forget or in case you didn't get to see this video. So there's that. Like I said, I'll include that on a link in the Google Classroom. Something else I wanted to say is in the descriptions of this video are links to the essay that I'm going to do, that I'm going to write the intro and thesis statement on. It's in the link, as well as, let me see. Another announcement is that I've added a glossary of different techniques onto the assignment in Google Classroom. So if you were like struggling, like what were the ones that we learned? If you remember, we had the 25 giants of rhetoric that you used to keep in your folders. Well, this one's like a really exhaustive list of a lot of other techniques, and it gives you the definition, so you can feel free to use that. And I believe that's it. Just make sure that when you open this video, you look in the description, because the description has the paper that I'm actually going to be using, and it's on page 10 of the link. So you have to open the link, scroll down to page 10, and it is a speech given by Madeliene Albright. So basically, after you get done reading through the speech, you basically find that she is addressing, she's giving a commencement speech for a graduation at a college. So if you're not familiar, usually at a college they invite somebody to give a speech, and she was the person chosen to give the speech. And as we'll see right now when I give you the example of the introductory paragraph that I created, she was invited because at that time she was the Secretary of State. So at the beginning of the speech, it kind of gives you the prompt. Remember, when you're going through the prompt, this year, they're supposed to give you the actual message that the speaker uses. In my example, if you're watching this video and then you go to open the link to the essay, to the speech that I told you about, and you scroll down to page 10, it says, after it gives you kind of the sort of the background of the speech, it tells you, then write a well-developed essay in which you analyze the choices Albright makes to convey her message to the audience. Remember, so this one is from 2018. So back then they only told you choose the choices that help her get her message across. According to what they've told us this year, it should tell you this year when you read the prompt, that's why it's super important that you read the prompt, is going to tell you choose the rhetorical devices that the author uses to get the message of, and then it will actually give you the message. So make sure to look for that, because you can use that message in your essay just to show the reader that you understand what the message is and that you are clearly relating the techniques and the strategies that they use to the overall message to push their argument through whatever the text is. So just really quickly, and I'm trying this. Did you guys miss the whiteboard? In case you missed the whiteboard, here it is. I'm not sure how this is going to look because right now I'm looking at it and everything is kind of backwards. But this is just so that you can get an idea, sort of actually like a visual. If you guys remember, I'm probably just going to start using Screencastify just because I think that would be even better. If you're watching, feel free to leave a comment, or if you have any questions about the AP test, I just kind of went over it very quickly, what it's going to look like. But if you have any questions, let me know. So let me just continue. In the class, in the Google Classroom, one of the links is to the rhetorical situation. So if you go in there and look at that, you can see everything in there, the exigence, the purpose, the audience. It's stuff that we went through at the beginning of the year. But then there's also a link to an outline, and I'm looking at it right now. It's called the AP English Language and Composition Rhetorical Analysis Essay Outline. And I chose this specific one because it's a one-pager. It doesn't look very intimidating, and it just really gives you a basic outline just to review everything that we've already went through in first semester. And in the introduction, which is what the assignment for this week is focusing on, you have introduction. And at the beginning, the summary of the rhetorical situation. You have Roman numeral 1 says exigence, Roman numeral 2 says purpose, and Roman numeral 3 says audience. So, and then B just says, what is your thesis, right? So in here, I kind of have it mapped out, or I kind of have it written out. That is to say, so I'm just going to start up here from the top. In her inspiring address to a graduating class of an all-women's college, Mount Holyoke College, and I put this in brackets here because that's the exigence. That is the reason, the purpose, that is the thing that spurred the author to write this speech, is they invited her to a college, to a graduating class of all women. It's a college, an all-women school called Mount Holyoke College, and that is what inspired her to give the message, right? So right then and there, just imagine if they've chosen you to speak at your graduation next year for all of my juniors, right? Next year, you have to speak at graduation, and based off of the venue that you're going to speak at, the event that you're going to speak at, you consider, how am I going to write my essay, right? Given that she is a woman in a very powerful position, and a woman who is going to address not just high school graduates, but college graduates, and not just college graduates, but college graduates at an all-female school, you can already start to think she wants to get a certain message across, right? She wants to relate to them some kind of information that more than likely is going to want to inspire them, right? You don't want to invite someone to speak at your college who's going to bring everybody down or say, well, guys, it's really going to suck once you get out in the real world. So obviously, the speaker has these things in mind, and you see it once you read the message, everything that she tries to get across, right? So again, I'm doing this one so that I wouldn't do it on the letter that Gandhi wrote. because that's what you guys are doing, and I don't want you to tempt you into just writing what I wrote down. But in her inspiring address to a graduating class of an all-women's college, Mount Holyoke, then U.S. Senator of State. Remember, you have to give some kind of credential that the author has. Are they a doctor? Are they a professor? Are they a teacher? Are they writers? Are they journalists? Are they scientists? In the prompt itself, or right before you read the actual passage, it will tell you something about the author. They might just, it could be that they're not doctors, or they're not scientists or professors. It could be that they're just the son of so-and-so. Maybe it was the son of, I don't know, Thomas Jefferson or something, who wrote an essay that you're about to read. You want to include that. That's technically their credential if they're not a doctor or professor. In this case, we have a very distinct, very specific, explicit credential, and she was the former U.S. Senator, Secretary of State. We want to make sure to include the author's name, their complete name, Madeliene Albright. You don't want to refer to her last name, or refer to her just by her last name, until you refer to her by her complete first name at least one time. And that obviously happens in the introduction. So the then U.S. Secretary of State, Madeliene Albright. And here's where I get to the purpose / my thesis. So she asserts, right? I should have had a marker to highlight that. Asserts. Imaginary circle. You don't just want to say says, obviously. Those aren't junior words. Try and push yourselves to say something other than says, or even states. Say something more along the lines of asserts, claims, argues, right? We don't just want to say says. She says. Madeliene Albright asserts that an individual can either live selfishly and complacent, or act with courage and faith. So that's kind of like the main thing that she says. That's her purpose. So, and I got that from the very first paragraph of the speech. She says, people can either just be content with whatever it is that they have, be happy with the life that you have, and not choose to do more, or not aspire to be better. That's one way to live. Or she says, you can live with courage and live with faith. So she basically gives her whole audience an ultimatum and says, look, once you leave from school, here are the two ways that you can live, right? And obviously one of them seems better than the other. We don't want to be selfish, right? We don't want to be complacent. We always want to be better. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to challenge our society, right? So she's already building up exactly what she wants her audience to take away from her speech. And she begins by, like I said, this purpose. She wants to let them know these are the two ways to live. So here we go. Or rather, yeah, here's where we start the purpose here, the underlying part. Albright aims to galvanize her all-female audience. Again, the word galvanize, I know that I said that's my purpose, but we don't just want to say her purpose is to. That's very basic, right? It's pretty simple. Here I say instead, Albright aims to galvanize. Galvanize just means to encourage, motivate people to act. Albright aims to galvanize her all-female audience, and there goes my audience right there. That's how easy it is to include who the audience is. I just did it very, very bluntly, I didn't really decorate it much or elaborate much on it. I just really just put it out there very simply, bluntly. Albright claims to galvanize her all-female audience to live courageously and act with faith so as to help the women in her audience see that they can change the world for the better. So there we go. That's sort of like the thesis right there. That's the thesis / the purpose. That's what she's trying to do. She knows that she has this time to speak to this all-female audience who's about to go out into the working world, who are now just newly graduated students, right? And she's trying to challenge them and say, go out there and make the world a better place. And it's especially important considering that they're women. And she's trying to tell them to be courageous. That's why she specifically uses the word courageous, because even now in society, there's a lot of things that and you guys, you're my AP class, but in my regular English class, we were talking about gender roles and the norms and how women are supposed to act, in quotes, right, and how men are supposed to act. And even in today's society, there's certain things that we expect from women that maybe sometimes they're not willing to go out of a certain box or a certain way that people see them in our society. So she's kind of telling them right off the bat, go out there and live courageously because you can change the world. So she, her aim is to galvanize her all-female audience to live courageously and act with faith so as to help them. And actually, I'm just realizing that that's kind of redundant. You could just say to help them see that they can change the world for the better. There's my thesis. That's what I'm saying her message is, right? Because in your thesis, you want to make sure to include the message. And then my last sentence, I kind of made it sort of like a 2-sentence thesis. In my last sentence here, I just remember we have to mention the choices, right? And if you guys remember, that word choices is interchangeable with like techniques, rhetorical devices, strategies, all of that kind of means the same thing, right? So I say throughout her speech, Albright makes use of, and here go 3 different things that I saw when I read through the speech. Allusions, because she makes a lot of allusions to different events in history. Anecdotes, because towards the end of the speech, she mentions specific people that she knows or that she knows of, women specifically who have done great things in history, right? Anecdotes and various appeals to her audience's emotions. And if you guys remember, that is one of the 3 rhetorical appeals, which is pathos. If you guys remember, pathos refers to pulling at the heartstrings of your readers, right, and getting them to act emotionally. So throughout her speech, once again, Albright makes use of allusions, anecdotes, and various appeals to her audience's emotions to strengthen her claims, right? And that's it. That's really all I want from you guys in terms of the assignment for this week. I just want an introductory paragraph with the thesis embedded into the paragraph, right? So if you remember, on our rhetorical analysis essays, we try to stick to the closed thesis because I want to see what your, as you can see here, what your rhetorical devices are that you're going to be analyzing. Are going to be, I want to see that in the introductory paragraph. So it kind of gives me an outline of what to expect in the rest of your essay. And as you can see here, I did 3 rhetorical devices. I said allusions, anecdotes, and the appeals to emotions, which is pathos. That's 3. But I at least need 2, no less than 2. Remember, this is the only thing that you are going to get graded on. So the more that you can do, the better. But I also want to make sure that you give really quality writing as well. We're gonna continue to develop this essay next week as well. I might use just some more like other methods to try and jog your memories about it. But if there's any questions, I'm looking here to see if anyone has written any questions, but I don't see any questions on the chat. I know that there's a couple of people who joined in. But that's it. I'll be doing a YouTube live stream or a Screencastify, which is where I record everything that's on my screen. And okay, I see someone asking a question right now. Hey, Amy, when is the rest of the essay due? For now, the rest of the essay, we're going to do it in parts, and I'll probably assign it for next week. So for this week, just worry about turning in the introductory paragraph and your thesis statement. If you want to get a leg up and start to do a little more work, then you can start to write out your body paragraphs, but those won't be due until next week. So on Thursday, which would be the other time that we have class, I'll do something else. I'll show you like the Screencastify of how I type one out. And like I was saying, that's where I record my screen, and I'll just probably have a Google Doc up and maybe get a little more detailed with it. Anyone else? Any other questions? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, please turn in the attendance questions before 4:30 because that's the time that I check attendance. So if you haven't done attendance today, for example, today is Tuesday, April 14th, it's 4 o'clock, you still have time, because I'm supposed to submit attendance before 12 p.m. and I've been noticing that people go in and then they fill out, for example, today's, they'll do it tomorrow. And by that time, attendance has already been submitted. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? So try your best to fill it out before 4:30 so that I know that you've been signing in. Is there anyone else? Any other questions? If not, I'm going to start to wrap up. For those of you who are watching, can you please make sure to spread the word to any of your other classmates in your classes to make sure that they've signed it up for the Google Classroom that corresponds to their period, because there is a 5th period Google Classroom and a 6th period Google Classroom for my AP classes, and that's the one that I've been operating on for the past couple weeks. So please make sure to inform others and let them know. Keep a lookout tonight for some just announcements. It's not extra work, I promise. Just announcements for the AP test, just so that you can see what the updates are regarding the AP test, and you can have those there to refer to and just continue to look at. But I think that's it. I kind of just went through the lesson now. This video, I'm sure, will stay up on YouTube for you to refer to after it's done. So if you didn't get a chance to watch, just look for it maybe in a couple hours, refresh, and I'm sure YouTube will post it right back up. Well, I'll see you guys Thursday. I will post another link to a YouTube live that I'll do for Thursday. So come ready with any questions that you might have regarding the AP test or anything that we're talking about. Just to sum it up, remember the AP test is only going to be an essay on the rhetorical analysis component of the test, I guess you could say. You just have to write a rhetorical analysis essay, and you have 45 minutes to do so. I think that's it, though. So thank you for those of you who watched, who were able to join. Spread the word. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a 25 to 40-minute video on Tuesdays and Thursdays from now on until the end of the school year. So if you have any questions, Google Classroom, you can email me. Until next time, though, I'm signing off, Mr. Gonzalez. See you guys later. Have a great rest of your day.